Sahana vavatu, sahano bhunaktu, sahaviryam karavavahe, tejasvina vadhitamastu, ma vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Last week we discussed what is the nature of Atman. That means what's the nature of yourself, both in the indirect and in the direct descriptions. And we said that we're going to proceed with, if I am not the three bodies, then it stands to reason to ask, then what is this gross body, this sthula that I am not? And that's the intention of today's session. All right, so we're going to do the three bodies. What is your physical body? Okay, so we're speaking now about your tangible physical body that we carry around with us, that's always present, longer than anything or anyone in life has not been more consistent and more present constantly than your own body. So since we carry this body with us constantly, then it's fair to at least take an hour and a half or so to inquire, what is this body made of and how is it made and what causes the body to be what it is. I'm going to start with a little metaphor. Think of a body as a car, right? And the driver is the intellect. So the car obviously needs to get from place A to place B. And it is commanded by the intellect. So this means that the intellect, depending on what the intellect knows, or what the intellect is educated about, it will determine where it takes this car through. That means if the intellect is not so educated, that is, it is guided mostly by its emotions, its carnal drives, then the intellect will be at the command of the mind. Right? So there's a point in life where maturity becomes from being guided by the emotions to being guided by the intellect. Okay, that's the highest maturity of a human being, and not just any intellect, but intellect that is based on religious precepts, that is dharmic rules, dharmic laws, what is good and what is appropriate and what is inappropriate. That kind of intellect, because an intellect can drive the car through a deal which is unfortunate to the other side, but it gains for itself because it's not educated. In other words, we're talking about competition. That is, I'm going to drive this car through a certain customer, and by engaging the intellect, then I'm going to get something from the customer unfairly. You know, it's unfair for them, but it's fair for me. This is why in the three stages of life, we first have dharma, and then artha, and then kama. So what this means is that the intellect has to first be educated by dharma, that is, what is appropriate and inappropriate. Unfortunately, or fortunately, or whichever way you want to see it, today the tendency, due to not educating the child with these religious precepts, with these laws, these dharmic rules, is what happens is the person jumps straight into kama. That is, how can I gain pleasure? How can I gain entertainment for myself? And artha. So artha and kama become first. And what happens is when artha and kama become first, then there's no guiding system, right? Dharma is not guiding it, how to use its intellect, how to express its emotions, how to communicate. So what happens is this intellect ends up driving this car due to lack of dharmic principles through places which incur punya and papa karma. That means either good merit or demerit. And then the body, that is the vehicle, depending where you drive it through, goes through certain conditions. So that means if the vehicle goes through a pothole called a nightclub, intoxicated by certain chemicals, then it's as good as putting, let's say, inside your diesel engine, putting water, right? The engine's still going to function, but plus diesel, you mix it together. However, the capacity of its function is going to be halved. Or, depending on what the car is driven through, entirely depends on the condition that that car gets to enjoy, right? Which is called kama. So this means that kama naturally follows dharma. You see that? If I apply dharmic principles in life, kama is naturally going to follow. That means if I'm doing what is right, then I'm naturally going to feel good as a result. You know that experience, right? I naturally help or I give someone who is in desperate need, and naturally kama comes along. This is an organic way how to go through kama. The inorganic way how to go through kama is to say, I can, therefore I will. Right? I can't put this body, or I can't drive this car through places which are going to give it stimulation or some kind of sensual pleasure, and therefore I will. That's the other side of it. And what this does, it then causes a lot of problems to the car, and it shortens its lifespan. The engine starts to break down, and then in the later years, it's very hard to contemplate. It's very hard to worship God. It's very hard to study. All because of what? Lack of dharma in the younger years. So this is one thing that we have to be careful of, is that in the younger years, it's very easy to kind of say, well, we're young, we can do whatever we want. But in the later years, all of that lack of dharmic or not following dharmic principles, all of that starts to collate little by little, and it just slows down the body, slows down the vehicle. So, speaking of this vehicle, we need to keep it healthy. That's the point. Depending on what's educated, what the intellect is guiding it through. So now let's speak about the vehicle that is your physical body. What it's made of and how it functions. Okay, we started with Sthula Shariram Kim. So what is the gross body? Okay, so we're going to start on a piece of paper. What is the gross body? Okay, two questions come up. What is it made of? The short way to put is made by what? The gross body is made by what? And the second part to know our physical bodies is made by whom? Or what caused the body? So these are two entirely different topics that we have to address. So the first is, out of what is the body made of? And the second is, what caused the body? Number one, put material cause. So made by what? Answer, material cause. The Sanskrit word, which you will encounter as we study this by ourselves, is upa, U-P-A, long A, U-P long A, upadana. D long A and A, upadana karana. Upadana karana. And the second is made by whom? The answer is efficient cause. That starts with an E. Efficient. E-double-F-I-C. Efficient cause. So what is it made of? Material cause. What caused the body? Efficient cause. The Sanskrit term is nimitta. N-I-M-I-T-T-A. Nimitta karana. K long A, R-A-N with a dot underneath the N, A. So upadana karana and nimitta karana. Karana means what? Cause, yeah, because karana sharira. But I need to address this word efficient. Okay, we put the word efficient. Now, to understand efficient, we need to take two English words, Why? Because by comparing these two words, we'll get a clear idea what efficient means. So there is effect and affect. Okay? Effect starts with E. That means I effected something. So put number 1, effect, and 2, affect. Now, when something is effected, it is produced. It is brought about. To effect is to bring something about into existence, into manifestation. To cause something to be, cause something to exist. Effect. Effect. Okay, so if you look up the word effect in the dictionary, you'll see this. So if I effected something, then I created something. For example, we're going to all effect an apple cake together in the kitchen. So we're going to create an apple cake. Okay, so that means we're going to produce it. John Pemberton, who is the Coca-Cola recipe maker, he effected the Coca-Cola recipe in 1886. He created it. He wasn't there before, and then he created it. So is effect now clear? Now, what is affect? Affect is to make an impact on. To influence.
Change.
To modify. For example, CO2 affected the environment, while bacteria and trees affected the environment, or the atmosphere, at least the one that we breathe. So the plants, let's say through millions of years, they contributed to affecting the atmosphere that is livable for animals. The carpenter affected the wooden table. He created the wooden table, but fire affected the wooden table. You see the difference? So the answer for number 2, created by whom, is efficient cause. We know what the word efficient means now. That means that one who produced it. That principle because of which the body was created. Okay? We'll get into this deeper, don't worry. So let's do a little example. The pot is made out of what? What's the material cause of this pot? Clay. So the clay is what? 1 or 2 on your list? 1. Okay, so clay is the material cause. And who effected out of the clay the pot? The potter. So the potter, out of the material, that is the clay, made the pot. Understand? A golden necklace is made out of what material? Oh, I just gave it away, right? So the material cost for a necklace is gold. Then who or what is the efficient cause of the necklace? Yeah, the goldsmith. The wave is created out of what? Yeah, so the material cause of the wave is what? Yeah. And what is the efficient cause of the wave? When also the moon. The moon has tidal impact on the water. So both the wind and the moon are the efficient cause for waves. Okay? So now let's ask and begin the inquiry about your body that's now being used to listen to these words. What is the material cause of the body? What created the body? We're talking just about the number 1, not number 2, just number 1 now. There's just some obvious ideas. What's your body made out of?
Elements.
Thanks for going ahead of the inquiry. Okay, just ordinary, simple language. Skin, what else? Bones, fascia, fat, muscle, amino acids, proteins. Anything else?
Water.
Hair, right? Okay, let's go a little bit smaller, like a little bit more advanced. What else is it made of?
Cells.
Cells, yep. We're talking about your body that you're carrying right now.
Cells.
Huh?
Cells.
Cells? Yep, cells.
Space.
Huh?
Space.
Okay, yep. We'll explain that.
Water.
Water? Okay. What is water made of?
Molecules.
How many? Okay, water is what? 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. So is it really water or is it atoms? Right? Right, so 75% of your body is what? Water. But then I say, okay, I agree, but what's water made of? So you have to look deeper, you have to look one step closer. What is that material which I am claiming my body to be of? What is that made of? Okay, what about air? Does your body have any air? Air. Yeah, you're breathing air right now. What does air consist of? It consists of 78% nitrogen. It consists of 20.95 oxygen, 0.93 argon, the gas argon, and 0.04 carbon dioxide. So that means right now you have nitrogen in your body, you have oxygen, you have carbon dioxide, and argon. Okay, what about fire? Well, I don't see any fire on my body. Do you? Does anyone see any fire? Because we said elements, so we now have to, explain that. Yeah, you said it? Who said it? Heat. Super. After a sports session, right? There, you can put your hand here after a run or something, and it's just emanating heat. Because heat leads to fire. It's a prerequisite. We make fire out of the stick. What do? We cause friction, and then enough friction creates enough heat, and then generates fire. So, we all clear? Fire. Okay, what about space?
What, in terms of heat?
Okay, before we go to space, what about Earth? Do you see any soil on your like what? I don't see any soil. Where? I bath to get soil off my. But you saying that I'm soil? That I'm Earth?
The food you eat is close to soil.
Yeah, yeah.
The food is made out of the topsoil, and you'll go back to topsoil when you're finished.
We often end up buying what? Iron tablets, magnesium tablets, potassium tablets, calcium tablets. So in other words, what? We end up buying the material of your hammer. What? I don't have it. So basically you got a hammer in your body, a big anvil, iron. So Earth is referring to solids. That is, all of the elements, there's 118 periodic table of elements in Earth. And most of those are already in the body. If you look into different constituents at different levels. Okay, what about space?
Yeah, what, in terms of air or in terms of...
No, air is done.
Yeah.
We're just talking about space. Because this is a hard one for the brain. Like, I can agree, fire is there, no problem. Heat is there, earth is there, different. I can touch it, it's solid. Air, oxygen, definitely flowing through the body, through the heart. What else do we have? Water, definitely, 75% of body is water. But space? How is that possible?
It's the atoms and the molecule.
Yeah, that's one. The other is space in a form of that which accommodates these previous 4 elements. See, if we make this room very small right now, right, then the space is not adequate to hold up your body, then how are you going to even say body? To say body, I need space to say body. Because I can't say body in a little space like this, can I?
Well, you need space for your jaw to drop down.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no space, that can't move.
So space in a principle of that which accommodates the previous 4 elements. Without space, there is nothing to say. Or on the other factor is space, if you break down atoms, because we spoke of, cells. We break that down into molecules, but then we break that down into subatomic particles, and then you say, well, what's holding them around the nucleus? What's holding them in orbit? Space. Okay. So the question is, what is the material cause of the body? And the answer is Panchikrita Panchamaha Bhutaihi Kritam. So if you want to have a perfect answer, what is your body? This is what you say. Panchikrita Panchamaha Bhutaihi Kritam. Okay? So the 5 elements is Bhuta. Okay? Bhuta. Bhutaha. So Pancha Bhut, the Maha means great. So means the 5 great elements. We're over here. Pancha Maha Bhuta. I'll explain what this means in a minute, but just first, Pancha Maha Bhuta. That means my body is made of the 5 great elements. Now, if you want to look at this on a quantum level, that is a bunch of atoms, a bunch of molecules, that's fine. But we just stick with the Vedic model and we say the 5 elements, space, air, fire, water, earth. Okay? So those 5 elements are what's called Pancha Maha Bhuta. Okay, so that means, so far, if everything is made out of the 5 elements, then there is no difference between your body and the chair that we are sitting on. There's no difference between this hand and this carpet. It's just a different configuration of 5 elements put together that create a form worthy of being called hand and a form worthy of being called a carpet. Or a form being worthy of called a tree. But it's still got the same elements, 118 periodic table of elements, or it's got water, it's got iron, it's got calcium, it's got proteins, but it's just arranged in a different fashion. It's packaged differently. So that means the difference between your body and the pen that you're holding to write with is the packaging of the 5 elements, giving them a difference between what my body is and what a pen is. Now, we're asking this. So then what's the difference between a rock and a human body? That's certainly combination, just like with anything, bottle, tree, even 2 birds, right? Even 2 birds are not or fingerprints, no 2 fingerprints are alike. Or 2 snowflakes, or 2 birds, they're not alike. Even though they're the same species, like a kingfisher, it's still a different bird. There's a different configuration about it. What else?
Energy.
What does that mean, energy?
Energy means life force.
Okay, we're more specific. Go in the context of the chart.
Is it consciousness?
Huh?
Consciousness?
Well, definitely, that's always number one. That's pervades through everything.
A rock's proportion of Earth is much more than a body's.
Yeah, that's another good way to put it. That means the proportion or the permutation, a combination of different elements is different. We already established that. That makes a person, 2 people different. That makes this body different from a tree. But what makes a body alive that doesn't...
Causal body.
Yeah, you're close.
Subtle body.
Subtle body.
Oh, okay.
So what makes it, let's go back to the original. So what makes the difference between a rock and a human being? A rock doesn't have the subtle body. The human being has a subtle body. And when you add a subtle body, you need what? You need organs of action. You need organs, action means hands, feet, right? 5 organs of action. Speech, hands, sex, organs, feet, and anus. These are the organs of action. And you need 5 organs of knowledge. That means I need to see, I need to hear, I need to taste, I need to touch, I need to smell. So by giving a rock, for example, the subtle body, the rock is same as a human being, literally. So the only difference between a human being and a rock is a rock doesn't have a subtle body and a human being does have a subtle body. But they're both made of the same elements. Clear on that?
So this room's a bunch of rocks with...
Yeah, basically. And because we have a subtle body, we're able to say, I am conscious of this instrument called person, called individual, called Andre.
So whilst that's, we've got 2 extremes. You've got human, rock,
Yeah.
What about something close to the middle area, like a tree, which has got life and movement and
Yeah, tree also has a subtle body. An animal also has a subtle body. It's just less developed. Yeah, it has very limited perception. For example,
But does that have that? But that doesn't have a causal body.
a tree does have a causal body. A plant does have a causal, and an animal also has a causal body.
Okay.
For example, a bean, a bean falls off a bean, and then it gets caused by what? By its previous karma. It continues growing, so that's causal. So plants, animals, and human beings, they all have causal and subtle bodies, just less sophisticated. We have the most sophisticated causal and subtle bodies.
Is there something that has a subtle body that doesn't have a causal body?
Good question.
No. Subtle body and causal body always go hand in hand, because causal body gives birth to the subtle body. Subtle body has to give then birth to a physical body to express the physical body's contents of the subtle body and the causal body. Causal body is what? Tendencies. I have a tendency or habits to do something. And those habits need to be what? Grossified, need to be expressed in the world. And for that you need a body, a human body.
So, just to broaden it out a bit, is this for made of those three bodies?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're part of Ishvara, and we have a particular combination of those three bodies,
Yeah.
in a particular format, a particular configuration.
It's a configuration.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now you're stepping into the border of what's the cause of the body. Gonna keep this separate.
Okay.
Material. We're gonna step into the cause now. Okay. You see how we started to mix up? We need to stick with number one, material cause. We're just talking about 5 elements for now. So, nice hand, right? Oh, nice hand. We cut it. We go, ew, right? That's why they say beauty is skin deep. That's what our bodies is. It's just skin, organs put together, has a certain shape, color to it, smoothness, and then one little cut, and then instantly we see the truth of it. It's actually a very vulnerable instrument. So what does this mean? It means not to give so much importance or value to the physical body. We need to understand and see the physical body as nothing but an instrument to help us get us from place A to B according to 2 principles, our swadharma and knowledge of who we are. That's the only reason why a body is given to you. There's no other reason. Due to the fact of having free will, the person is able to violate this and then use and expose their body to places which induce kama, pleasure, which is why what we see in the world. We see, oh, I'm a teenager, I've got a car, and I can do whatever I want. This is, as I said from the beginning, a lack of education. So we need to understand and keep focused that this instrument, which we now said is nothing but 5 elements, is nothing but a purpose built for performing one's duty and recognizing one's nature. Anything outside that realm is already what? Ahamkara, trying to take ownership of its experience. What we have to know is if you follow dharma, that means principles of appropriate and inappropriate. And artha means wealth and security. That means we all need security, right? All of us. If security is guided by dharma, then kama will naturally come. That means a person is not supposed to be looking for pleasure. The pleasure is supposed to come automatically as a result of what? Performing my duties according to the principles of dharma. So we just need to straighten that configuration. Because if I don't, then I said the body's going to get old and it's going to get damaged and it's going to get withered away much faster than it should. And this compromises one's success of extended nididhyasana, that is assimilation of this knowledge. Because you need a healthy body in old age to think, right? Another example is we have crematoriums. Today, after some time, Mr. and Mrs. Smith goes and offers her husband's body to crematorium. You press one button, 4 hours later, here you go, Mrs. Smith, here's your husband, right? In a little bucket, ashes. So this is what our body is. It's literally ashes composed of 5 elements, just changing form. But it's still 5 elements. So when you see something like this, like really, when you see a sight like this, like how a body was not a body, it's a corpse, was lying, but next moment I see just ashes in my hand. It really gives one perspective what the body is. So that's what our body is. It's just elements combined together, working together, infused with the subtle body. It's able to think of itself as self-conscious, and then because of its subtle body, it mistakes itself to be I. You see that? This is our confusion because of our subtle body. Okay. So the material cause of the body is what? Panchikrita panchamaha bhutaihi kritam. That means the material cause is nothing but 5 elements. No different than anything else in this universe. So is there any difference between this body and a cloud?
Just the components would be different proportions.
Everything is 5 elements. Between this body and a crow poop? Is there? No. Because what comes out of the body?
The body.
Excrement.
Right, exactly. The food that was what? Building this body to build it up. And then what comes out of it is the remaining leftovers. So there's no difference between the poop and this body. I mean, literally, it's quite funny when we think about it, but you actually are just a piece of, you know what? If you think about it scientifically, right? Because it's the same 5 elements. Now, what is, okay, now number 2. So we're done with 5 elements, okay? Number 2, what is the cause of the body? Okay, what is the efficient cause of the body? Made by whom? Give me some ideas.
Mum.
Huh?
Mum.
Brahman?
No, mum.
Mother.
Mum.
Yeah, see, mom and think about it this way. Mom and dad only, the mom's egg and the dad's sperm, they only contribute. Okay, before we go there, what is mom made out of? Earth.
Yeah.
What's daddy made out of? Earth. So they only end up contributing elements in order to create the baby. But they're not the direct cause. They're not the direct efficient cause of the baby. Okay, more ideas?
Intelligence.
What kind of intelligence? I mean, specifics now.
Ishvara.
Yeah, okay, Ishvara, see, that's a very fair answer, but the thing is, but that gives it away. If I say Ishvara, that's definitely the cause of everything, no doubt. That's the cause and the animator of the whole entire universe. But I need specifics.
Well, the baby is born and it's the Atma, it's Brahman, and we two are same DNA, so we're born of Brahman.
Yeah, but that's Brahman. Everything's born of Brahman.
So back to intelligence, intelligent laws.
Intelligent laws is Ishvara.
Okay.
I need more specifics than that. I need to know what specifically caused your body to be what it is right now. What specifically caused you to be born in a certain family with a certain intellect, with a certain personality, with a certain brother, with a certain sister, in a certain place, speaking a certain language, being a male or a female. I need to know that exact cause that caused you to be your body to be exactly what it is right now.
Past karma.
Super. And the answer is Sat Karma Janyam. So write this down. Sat Karma Janyam. The other name for this is Karma Phala. Sat Karma Janyam. The truth is the karma.
What was that second one?
Sat Karma Janyam. Sat Karma Phala. Fruits. The fruits of karma. Phala is fruit.
So this is the efficient.
This is the efficient. We're now done with material. This is the efficient cause.
So Palakama.
Karma Phala.
Karma Pala.
So the answer is Karma Phala or Karma Janyam. In other words, I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to say the word we. Now, when I say we, I'm also referring to devatas. I'm also referring to animals. I'm also referring to other beings in different dimensions. I'm referring to everyone, okay? Because don't just think that there are living beings on this earth. It's an infinite universe, and to think that I'm just, we're just here, the only ones, that's just small thinking. The creatures and species with subtle bodies are in different realms. They're much subtle realms, but they're still there. So when I speak of we, I'm also including anything in the universe. Absolutely anything that is alive, that has a subtle body. Now, for the purposes of simplicity, we're going to simplify we and narrow it down to just human beings, okay? So, what caused your body? Just say, our past actions. That's karma phala or karma janya. Our past actions. This includes punya, P-N, no, P-U-N, dot underneath the N, Y-A, papa, P long A, P-A, papa, and mishra, M-I-S, with a line on top of the S, R-A, mishra. Okay, punya is what? Appropriate. No, it's fine. It's dharmic, appropriate, good.
Good deeds.
Yeah, it's something that serves, something that
Isn't it a blessing as well?
you can also say it's a blessing, but we just say when I do punya karma, I do something that is appropriate, something that does good for me and the environment. Papa is demerit. That means actions which give demerit. Just like in school when we were misdisciplined, then the teacher sent, or at least the teacher sent me to the corner of the class. This is when I did something, when I performed papa, karma, then I got the results of those actions being in the corner of the class. And mishra is in between papa and punya. So, example, mishra is when I give you something, but I only give it to you because there's an agenda so that you can give back to me at some time in the future. So I did help you, but I only help you because I have an agenda for you to help me just in case I need your help in the future.
Conditional.
Yeah, so it's what's the word?
Conditional.
Conditional, that's a very good word. So that means I did apply punya, but there was a conditional papa. Or let's say there was punya, but it's also a papa. Why? Because of my intention. My intention wasn't pure. Okay, one example to give this past actions. How many times do we wonder when a baby is born with two heads, or disabled, or dysfunctional, and then we say, oh my God, what about this? Come on, what about this child? How can you be so cruel in your language? What about this? What did the child do? We just answered. Karma janyam. That means the result of the baby, how the baby is born, in which family, and what kind of temperament this baby, what kind of gunas, what kind of guna disposition, the sattva, rajas, and tamas. Is it a clear child? Is it a very active child? Is it a dull? The slow children in school, they have a hard time really studying. Very slow and lethargic. That's tamas. All of these combinations are determined by karma phala or karma janyam. Okay? Or another example is, let's not now go back to past lives. We'll just stick to this life, okay? Karma janyam to this life. Okay. We also have examples where you've seen before and after photos, like overweight and then slim. You seen that? So what is that? Why is the person slim and he was overweight before? What's the reason for that? Karma janyam. In other words, certain actions were done in the past, and as a result of those actions, the body has taken off kilos of its grossness, and now the final result is slimness. So we even see karma janyam in our own lives. That means we perform something to this body. For example, I take this body to the gym and I lift weights, And then you look at this body a year later, and it's like Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? It depends how committed the body is. Or another example is, you've also seen those, like Ayurveda. You know, Ayurveda, when we say panchakarma, you know panchakarma in Ayurveda? They look at your body and they say, what kind of body is this? And then they give certain oils and massage to this body, and certain detoxifications. As a result, if you look at the face before and after, I kid you not, 10 years younger, 10 to 5 years younger. So this is another example of karma janyam. That means I do something, and as a result of this karma, this action, I transform this body and it looks like something else. Is that clear? We also have examples of meth users. You've seen the before and after photo, where the person, even in celebrities, I've seen this before and after. You see their face very smiley and young and youthful before, and then you look at after, let's say 2 or 3 years after, and you can see age, like sogginess and this stale white, right? It's like color is gone, life is gone. So this is another example of how karma janyam or karma pala operates in respect to our physical bodies. That means we do something. As a result of our actions that we have done, we get the exact body that we deserve. Karma pala, karma janyam. Okay. So the conclusion is each individual, including the one that you're carrying now, gets one's body according to past karma. Okay?
Just another word for papa karma. We used appropriate for punya karma. What's a single word for papa?
Demerit.
Demerit.
Yeah. Merit and demerit. Punya is merit, demerit is papa. Okay, so that, right? So our body is fashioned out of our karmas. So what does that mean? The question is, do you like your body? Don't answer. But just think about it. Do you like the body that you're born with? If the answer is no, then what am I saying? I'm not taking ownership of karma janyam. I'm not willing to be responsible for the actions which I refuse to perform, whoever this I was in the past life. And now, I got a body that I don't like. It's my fault. So this is not about blaming, it's just about taking responsibility. Saying, the body that I got, with the characteristics that I've gotten, are a result of this karma pala, and this is because of the actions which were done in past lives.
So how does that fit in with, let's say, a body is born as an autistic child, but it could be born in two completely opposite sets of circumstances. One could be a caring family with a society with good infrastructure and good support mechanisms and a good form of life.
Yeah.
Or it could have been some Eastern European orphanage where they're just treated like garbage. You know?
So what's the question?
Well, how does that same body, that same physical entity, arrive in two completely different situations? And because you were saying, do I like my body? Does the awareness or does the like you're talking about is obviously coming from the causal body.
When prarabdha karma kicks in, right? When the child is born, did you notice that the child doesn't have much problems in early years? It's just playing, constantly just playing. The prarabdha karma of a child only starts to kick in years later, around 7, 8, or maybe 6, even earlier sometimes. And that's when they start to make their own decisions and then move from one place to the next. So they're still born in the original family. They're still born in the family that they deserve to be born in as a result of karma janyam. But when my own intellect, as a result of my maturity, starts to fructify, starts to develop, then I'm able to make decisions by myself and then move elsewhere to a different country. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah. It was, I guess, more of a discussion because I had a brother who was born with a hole in the heart,
Yeah.
And in those days they couldn't really treat that, and he died at less than 1 year old.
Yeah.
So that wasn't his decision. There's nothing in his head said, I don't like my body, or I do like my body.
He died.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, why did he die? Mike, will you just turn on the heater? Why did he die? Because the prarabdha karma was exhausted. That means there is nothing more to do. The body has nothing more to accomplish. Everything the body was born for, it's done. And when it's done, that's when the person dies. So usually what happens is we see early accidents and we go, oh, how shame. We think, see, nothing, there's no accidents here. The reason, there's always an outside reason for how a person dies, no doubt. Accidents, cancer, disease, but the actual reason is because the prarabdha karma is finished.
That could be looked at too from the opposite direction,
Yeah.
where the prarabdha karma that you're talking about could be from the family that has that child, the effect that has on the mother and the father and the other people around. Obviously, it changes their lives quite a bit too.
It does,
And
yeah.
that's their karma.
That's their karma, exactly.
Yeah, and so it's a sort of symbiotic.
It's all, because every person has an influence, right? So if one person dies early, that means if a mother gives birth to a child and the child dies early, then you think the mother gave birth to that child for an accident? No, because she also has her karma to exhaust, and that is to realize what it's like to lose someone that she loves. Why? Because she was someone in the previous life who, didn't know what it's like to feel loss for someone. So then she had to, be born in a certain family with a certain husband to give birth to a certain child who would then die early so that the child can exhaust its karma, but also the child can help mom exhaust her karma. There's no accidents here.
That's right.
Okay, so you're talking about exhausting of karma and death.
Yeah.
Does that mean a resolution of those karmic actions? So if a child dies at age 5, whatever previous action supposedly has taken place,
Yeah.
they're resolved upon that death.
Yeah.
And is not rebirth necessarily in the same form, but the continuation of their life in another time.
Yeah.
Is that residual? Is they going to retain something of that life, or is the slate cleaned? If you know what I mean.
No, it's not clean. It's just the clean for this life.
For that.
Then the next life, a new chunk of sanchita karma gets taken, and a new prarabdha karma has to run its course. This only stops when one realizes that I am awareness.
Right.
There's no beginning to karma. That means every body here right now, every body that's here is why here? Because there was no beginning to the amount of rebirth it's had. This only stops when we go, I am awareness, and there's no doubt about it. Even the jnanis, why are jnanis here? Because they also didn't do the work in the previous life. They didn't realize who I am. You see? So we cannot get away from karma, because karma, every time I do something, I generate new actions which I have to then address. So that means the only way to free myself away from this is by recognizing I'm not the instrument which keeps doing these actions. I'm not this body, I'm not this mind, because that's what does the action.
So from that person, or that, then there is no rebirth.
For that person, there's no rebirth.
Is that
Because
correct?
And there's no death either. For
And
that
there's no
one.
death.
Yeah.
So it's
The body died, but I didn't die.
that is moksha.
That's moksha. Yeah.
So we're engaging in papa actions all day.
Even punya, Shankara says very nice. Shankara says even punya karma is also papa. Just think about just being born on earth. Huh? How much garbage does each person create in one lifetime? A big mountain of garbage, and also a huge cave of coal for the electricity that I use up for my own entertainment. So just being born alone in itself, you could say, is papa karma. Because there's no way, I can't help it. I need to use resources from the earth. Now you times that by 7 billion, 8 billion today, I don't know how earth still manages. Right? So the best thing you can do, there was a quote here. Ramana says the best gift you can give to the world is self-realization. Now on the surface it looks like, yeah, that's a nice quote, but what's the intention behind it? Because of what I just said, the birth is no longer, therefore I don't need to contribute to this population problem. Right? Okay, let's move on.
That's a very profound realization.
So am I a woman? Am I a man? Am I a beetle? Am I a bird? Am I a tiger? Am I a rabbit? It depends. If I was a horny person in the last life, I'm not joking now, I'm just going to give you a good example. If the person was very horny, right, and they just loved sex 24/7 in the last life, and they didn't have any care or much care for family or responsibilities, then what's the point of being born as a human being? Why don't you just get born as a rabbit? Because rabbits can keep doing it 24/7, right? Well, I think so. Actually, I have a rabbit farm with my parents, and they're always they're very cute. Or why not be born as a? Or let's say that I was extremely dominant in last life. The person, whoever that I is, she or he, doesn't matter. Or how do you call it? Alpha male, very dominating. Then what's the point of being born as a human? Why not just be born as a tiger and or a lion and have your own pride, and experience the maximum of that territorial livelihood? This evolutionary theory, right? And he says that a human being is the highest evolution. We do not accept that in Vedanta, because karma, rebirth, does not mean human. You only get the body that is best suited according to what? Your karma janyam, karma pala from the last life. So that means a bird or a dog, let's just take a dog. A dog can be that you're petting, could have been a person in the last life. And so now they need to experience the conditions that a dog has to go through in order to exhaust their karma. So in Vedanta, we make it very clear. A person is just one form. A bird is just one form. An insect is just another form. And that means that this jivatma, the migrating person, can take any form that is best for its conditions, that's best for its karma pala. This karma is not just, once again, summary, is not just one life, it's cumulative, okay? Cumulative means sanchita. Okay, sanchita karma is all of the cumulative karmas that get accumulated in all lifetimes. There's no beginning to this, by the way, because if I say beginning, then I'm what? Giving beginning to what? That which is endless, to Brahman. As long as there's Brahman, there's Ishvara. As long as there's Ishvara, there's timelessness. So that means there's no beginning to the amount of bodies that a person has taken on, as a form of a tree, a plant, a rock even, a person. It doesn't really matter. There's no beginning to it. And a part of that sanchita, that cumulative karma, gets taken and assigned just to this life. Now, this portion, this packet that gets taken, this packet is what determines who you, the word you meaning now, a person, who you are and what you are and how you are in this life. That means this life is nothing but just a small packet taken out of, just call it a sanchita, store of karmas. And that's what we are living today. How do we prove this? We can say, we can't actually prove this, right? We can only infer. Inference means that I can't give a effect. Effect is what? Birth, a human birth, without a cause. Can you have an effect without a cause? No. Can you give me anything in existence that has an effect without a cause? Can you get one single example that has a final product without it being caused by something else? No, impossible. So that means what? If this body born is a certain what? Personality, with certain parents, lower class, upper class, higher class, with certain attributes to play music, to love art, to love creating, to love discussing, to love selling, to love negotiating. All of this is what? Just the permutations and combinations of that cause. And the cause is that cumulative being taken and assigned to just this life. So it's a logic that we're using. We're using a logic. Your body is a certain unique person, and there's no effect without a cause. It's very simple. So that means if someone wants now to say there's no such thing as karma, you see the problem that we just create? There's no such thing as past lives. It's a huge problem that gets created, because then I'm going to say, okay, well then tell me what attributes the child not even owning to sure, they have genetical properties of the mom and dad, but what attributes a child's ability to have certain skills that have nothing to do with parents? Where does that come from? Why are some children just attracted to, let's say, music, and others are attracted to programming or technical dealings with? What is that? Where is that like and dislike coming from? Where is that raga, dvesha originating from? It has to have a cause. So this is the logic that we use. There is no effect without a cause. Okay. Now, next topic. There are two types of elements. Put this down. It's actually not that important, but just it's going to be covered later in the course, so I want to introduce you to this. We talked about the 5 elements. The first is your body, right? Your body is made of the 5 elements, and they're what? They're gross. In other words, the first type is sthula. Sthula, bhuta. Bhuta is element. So sthula, bhuta. The other name for this is, now we're going to use the word here, panchikritam. Now to explain what panchikritam is. Okay, now put next to number 1, which is sthula, put / panchikritam. There it is, P-A-N-C-I-K-R-T-A-M. I'll explain what panchikritam is. The second type is obviously Sukshma Bhuta. Bhutaha. Sukshma element. That means the subtle element. So one is gross, one is subtle. Now the first one, go back to the first one and put perceivable grossness. That means I can perceive that it's gross. I can verify it with my 5 senses. And the second one is can't be seen or perceived. So the first one is panchikritam, and the second one is apanchikritam. Remember when you put the word a in front, it just negates it, puts it into an opposite? Okay, now, the reason I'm bringing this topic up is because your mind, for example, can you grasp your thought? Can you grasp your memory? I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, yeah, I can see a memory in my mind, right? But are you seeing the effect or the cause? You're seeing the effect. You can't see the cause. If I punch this bag with my hand, I can see both the cause and the effect. That's why it's perceivable. But I cannot see the cause of memory. That's why it's sukshma. It's subtle. Okay? Now, there is a process where the subtle gets converted into the gross. Okay? There's a process. This process, which converts the subtle into the gross, is called panchikarana. This is going to come up in the course. Panchi, P-A-N-C-I, karana, K-A-R-A-N-A. The N has a dot underneath, karana. Okay, let's explain panchi. You got it? Okay, what is panchikarana? Panchikarana is the process where the subtle elements, that is category number 2, get converted into gross elements, that is category number 1. For example, vapor is what? It's subtle, isn't it? Now, vapor converts into what? Through condensation? Water. So that means water is more gross now. Now, that process that turned vapor into water, that we call panchikarana. And then water, through another process, turns into ice. Okay, so the point is there's a subtle to gross observation even in this world. We can say also that the 5 subtle elements were prior to these 5 gross elements. Okay? Now these subtle elements are called tanmatras. T-A-N, tanmatras. T-A-N-M-A-T-R-A-S. Tras. So this is underneath number 2. That which can't be seen or perceived. So now we have 3 words. We have Sukshma, we have Apanchikritam, and we have Tanmatras. Okay. Now this topic is going to come up in the course in a couple of sessions, so I'm just priming you now. Because this Panchikarana is a rather complicated process, and you don't actually have to know it, but it's interesting. It gets the mind, really thinking. Okay. Okay. Now, what is Sthula Shariram? Okay, so we've now done the first line, okay? So where are we? The question is, where are we? We have now answered what is Sthula Sharira. Sthula Sharira is made of the 5 great elements through the process of Panchikarana, where the subtle transfers into the gross, and the efficient cause of these 5 elements, that is your body, is karma janyam, that is past actions. That's what we just answered. Clear? Okay, simplify it again. What is the gross body? Gross body is 5 elements, and its efficient cause is previous karmas. Simple. What is Sthula Sharira? Sthula Sharira is ayatanam. 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 What is ayatanam? Your home. Your address. What am I talking about? Your body is your home, your address. If I want to find you, where do I go? Where else? I go to your home, right? I go to your body, I say hello. Okay, so that means we're all like gypsies, right? We're all carrying our homes with us. One Atman is carrying how many now? 7.5 billion homes. Each home is what? A result of a material made out of 5 elements and a result of karma janyam. But one Atma, and that Atma is you. So this is just one more body that I is carrying. That means I am carrying your body, I am carrying your body, I'm carrying everyone's body. I'm speaking as Atman. Okay, so this home is what we carry around from A to B, right? That's what you do. Go from one place to another. And in this home, we have Bhoga. Bhoga is experience. B-H-O-G-A. Bhoga. In this home, we Bhoga or experience Sukha Dukkha. We experience what? We experience joys and sorrows. Isn't that true? Where else do we experience joys? Do I experience my joys in your home or in my house? It's my house. Therefore, if my house is dirty, then I'm going to feel extremely stressed. If my house is clean, we'll say, if your house is clean, then how do you feel? Super, top of the world, happy. But let's say that somebody comes into your house, that somebody's called alcohol, and messes things up. Then how do we feel? What's the bhoga of that?
Hangover.
Yeah, hangover, just sluggish. I don't know what else they experience. I have no idea. But just slow and dirty and polluted. And I don't want an experience that makes me not want to be in my own house. A clean house given to me by the grace of God. And I've only taken it to create a bhoga experience, not to want to be in it. It's quite a paradox, right? Okay. So this home is where we experience our sukha and dukkha, and it depends how clean or dirty the home is that determines how much quantity of sukha to dukkha there is. Okay, very simple. Okay. Next statement, so sukha dukkha di bhoga yattanam shariram. So that means the gross body is our home, where we experience all of our joys and sorrows. Every experience is happening in our own home, given to us. constructed by the 5 elements in the form of karmajanyam. So, next. Asti jayate vartate viparinamate apakshiyate vinashyati. Okay. Vikaravad means modification. Okay, vikaravad. So now before writing this down, I'm gonna say this. Your body, your home, goes through 6 modifications. So now you can say body vikaravad, body modifications, body vikaravad, and then put each one of these down. Asti, jayate, vartate, viparinamate, apakshiyate, vinashyati, because we're going to talk about them. Now we're going to speak about what these 6 modifications are that every body, physical gross body, Sthula Sharira, goes through. Can you see, while you're writing this down, a acorn tree inside a seed? Why not? It's an acorn tree. So that means I can't see a baby inside a cell, inside an egg in the uterus. Even before it manifests into a baby, it's in egg form. This is what we call asti. That means it exists, the baby exists in potential. This is asti. Asti is a fetus in the womb. But you don't see it because it's unmanifest. It's still in it's like a seed. It harbors the potential for a baby. Okay, now jayate, after a time of growth, by what? By the 5 elements called food that the mother is ingesting, feeding the baby with 5 elements. Then it has jayate. Jayate, that's the next stage of life, is birth. That means it's born. Nobody gets out of not being born. So there's a common process for everyone because we're all the same Ishvara. That means no one gets to cheat the system. Okay, next one is vartate. Vartate is to grow. That means when the small infant starts to, develop strength, the top of the head starts to close up, and strength starts to be gained, and we're not at puberty stage yet. We're just at the growth stage. Then we have puberty, which is viparinamate. Viparinamate. This is a stage where the body comes to a sufficient level of growth. At this stage, the boobs grow to a certain level, hair starts to grow, and it doesn't go much past this point. It's called the point of maturity, where sufficient, the mind and the intellect is also now developed sufficiently, and the voice starts to break for the men. The tallness is probably gained at maximum level by now. They will still grow a little bit, but it's at its maximum potential. That's viparinamate. Now, apakshiyate, hopefully you don't want to get to apakshiyate while not having been exposed to Vedanta, because apakshiyate is when this instrument starts to age and decay. Yeah. So that means after, I think it's about 39 or 40, 50. To make you feel good, 60, 70. Okay, 50, I can say 40. After 40, there are certain functions and chemicals like dopamine that say that if you live to 120, you would probably have no dopamine left. That will be very hard to get happy because all the dopamine has been exhausted. Dopamine. So this is a stage where I go, oh my God, I have a back. Because when a back hurts, I actually realize I have a back. Oh, I have a knee because my knee starts to hurt. The joints start to hurt. Everything before I was fine, doing sports, playing soccer, going left and right, no problem. And then suddenly pain starts to come. This is that stage where we're now very close to the last stage, vinashyati, which is when the body goes back to whence it came from, the 5 elements, earth. Hopefully, you've realized the nature of the self by the stage vinashyati. If not, then you'll go through the 6 stages or 6 modifications all over again. Who wants to do that? Right? Getting teeth drilled, being bullied all over again, right? Having to find a job, being worried, depending on food, having addictions, dealing with mental problems, making friends. Okay, let's summarize. 4 major points of the gross body. First one, material cause. Second, efficient cause. Third, it is your home. And fourth, it goes through 6 modifications. So, question, what is the function of the body? Now, having heard these 4 summary points.
To store, to
Process
store
Swadharma.
Yes, super.
I missed what you said.
Process Swadharma.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Okay, good. Yo,
And I
do
was
you,
going to say
yeah.
to sort of store the subtle body as a...
Good. It envelops. What does it mean to envelop? That which contains your 3 bodies. You see, for the causal body, which is just a bunch of tendencies, raga, dvesha, likes and dislikes, it has to then express itself in a form of thoughts. Isn't that true? We get a desire. Now, where did the desire come from? It came from somewhere, the causal body. And that desire ends up creating a thought, entertaining that desire, and then what does the desire end up doing? It causes the body to move, the physical body, that which envelops, as you said, to move in a direction to fulfill that desire. So the body is there, it is my home to work out my swadharma and to realize who I am. In the context of Vedanta. In the context of world, my body is there to, enjoy myself. Get rich, get married, drink a lot, make tons of children, add to the population problem, and everything else. By the way, I'm not saying, now the question comes up is, should I have kids or not, right? I did not say anything about that, did I? It's got nothing to do with that. What happens if the only way to exhaust your karma is to make a child? It has to be done, one way or another. If I don't, because I've been told in the spiritual circle, no, children are a waste of time, then I'm actually violating my swadharma. That means I'm not moving on. I'm escaping what I meant to do.
I've been thinking about buying a new car, and I know it's wrong. I know it's wrong to spend $30,000 on something I really like, but I keep on coming back to it. And I'm going, well, how can I get out of this? How can I get out of this? Maybe to buy the thing and get it over and done with.
Yeah. That's one way. Yeah, that's one way.
Yeah? There's another way. Save yourself $30,000.
That's how I did my exhaustion.
You buy buying a car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of lose interest.
You just lose interest and so
Then you want a $50,000.
Otherwise, you just end up fighting with your mind.
Yeah.
Should I? It just causes disturbance.
Yeah.
So there's different. It's up to you, right? But just do it in a way that doesn't hurt other people.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. What's the function of the body? To be your home. The experiences that the individual has to go through is shaped by 5 elements. That means if I am born with a certain deformation, right, I have to go through the experience of this home being deformed, other than how nature has intended. These reformations or deformations or retardations are a result of these 5 elements being put together. Why? In order to carry my home in a manner consistent with what I deserve from my actions in my previous life. So you should be happy with the body that you have. Because not to be happy is to avoid responsibility in this life. That's the subtle message. If I say I'm not happy with my body right now, I'm actually saying I'm not willing to take responsibility for my actions in this life.
Sarve bhavantu sukhinaha, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.